Okay, thanks everybody for coming back. Here's part two. In this session, we are going to discover how to actually pin. So when we're doing a pin, we're actually going to select an account that we're going to use. And then we're going to click the configure button, and then our configure screen is going to come up. Let me adjust this so we can see what's going on here. Okay, in the configure screen we have a lot of things to work with. Now before we go and jump ahead, what we want to do first is we want to just take our time to figure out what each of these sections mean and what they're going to do for us. Okay, so the first section is when you click on pin, just like any of the other of these guys here. Okay, so you have pin, repin, like, invite, follow, unfollow, comment, and message. When you click on pin, you have to enable it. So by clicking this, you enable. And then every time I click something, I always click save. And the reason why I do that is because this, if for any particular reason your software shuts down, your computer shuts down, anything shuts down, you lose all your settings, and then when you reboot, you don't know what you're going to have. But what it does is this actually saves your information in a database, and it's important to actually, make sure that your information is saved each time. So you want to click save, and that way it can save all of your information. That way you're ready to go just in case any unlikely event were to happen. Now to move on, this is taking a little bit of time to save because I have a lot of information saved in my Pinbot. And because of this, the system is going to take a little bit of time. It's going to say not responding, but actually it's storing the information that it's been fed. So while it's doing that, we'll just talk about some of these settings. The first setting is going to be timeout, and this timeout setting is huge because this is what you want to set to make sure that you are not randomly or systematically posting things like like a robot does. So basically you want to make sure that there's enough time in between your timeout that the computer can select different times to post. In other words, it's not going to post every 60 seconds, it's not going to post every 120 seconds, it's going to post between 121 seconds and 221 seconds. So anytime in between that, it's going to post. Now it posts randomly, it never posts the same twice. It always posts everything at random. So there is never an exact time frame between each post. It's going to select its time when it's going to do that. And then your pin, you select how many pins you want it to post during your session. In other words, your session is when you turn this thing on, when you click start to when you click stop, or when it stops pinning, how many pins you actually want it to pin. So this is actually going to be based on the number of boards you have. If you've got one board, basically your pins are going to be set up for that board. You do not want to pin 351 pins on one board. If you've got 30 boards, then you figure 10 pins per board, that's 300 pins. So basically that's how you want to set this thing up. You don't want to be pinning 100 times to one board within an hour, and that's really going to be a red flag, and that's going to actually get you in trouble. So you want to make sure that you set this up to where you are pinning a modest amount of pins to your boards based on how many boards you have. So that information is vital, and you want to make sure that you have that information set in there correctly. Okay. The next thing is autopilot. Now you can you can set everything up the way you want it set up, and then click autopilot and just leave it for a week, and this thing will just every day at whatever time you set, it will come on and it will start pinning, doing exactly what you tell it to do. So this is important if you want to set it and forget it. Okay, so if that's what you're thinking about doing, then what you do is you click autopilot, you click save when you're done setting everything else up, and this guy will just run on its own every single day, and you don't have to touch it again. That's one of the unique features about this software, and I hope you click the link below and purchase yourself this software, because you definitely want to follow along, because this is a lot of information to have. And if you're doing it step by step with me, then you're actually going to be up and running before you know it. Okay, the next thing is the description in the URL description. If you want to put, I don't put a URL in my description, and the reason why is because it's kind of spammy. Now you can do it if you want to leave your source URL off. You can put it in your description, or if you just want to bring attention to whatever product it is, then you can do that by clicking on here, and you put your URL in here, and it'll add it to the description of whatever the pin is, and post that along with your pin. So that's what this item is for. The source URL is where the actual pin is coming from, so people can follow it back, and this is where I actually put my pins. And the reason why I do is because these are so people, if they click on my pin, they're actually going to go back to my website or somewhere where I want them to go to see some other material, or it could be something that I'm selling, or something that I'm promoting for somebody else, and then I'll use that information here. Now, what I never want to put here is I never want to put a direct link to a product or to a affiliate product. I never want to put a direct link in there. I always want to put a link to a landing page, because I want them to go to a landing page first, and then from that landing page I want them to go to the product. And the reason why is on a landing page or your website, you can get that approved by Pinterest and actually get a rich pin, which I have a video on too. Rich pins are a lot better because people pay more attention to rich pins because they know that they're totally legit. If you have just basic pins, people really don't want to follow those because they don't know where they're going. So with a rich pin, they know that you've been verified by Pinterest and that it is a totally legit pin. So with that, those are what I use, rather than using I don't use a direct link going back to an affiliate product or to like Amazon or something like that, because you could end up having some trouble with your Pinterest account. So with that, we're going to run over to boards. Now these are all the boards. What it does is it automatically loads your boards for you, so you know where you're pinning to. Now when it says select a board, each board is different. As you can see, the information that I have on the right side changes every time I click a board. Okay, and the reason why it does is because each keyword I have is mapped to a specific board. So this board is books, movies, and recipes. So over here my keywords are going to be books, and about movies. Gardening and landscaping. All of my keywords for gardening and landscaping are going to be for gardening and landscaping. Now the neat thing about Pinbot 3.0 is that it actually will go through and select one of these keywords each time it looks for a pin. And what it does is it pins it to that specific board. That way you don't get landscaping and water features in Japanese foods or in Thai foods or in funny stuff. You want to make sure that each of these are separated, and this information that I have on the opposite side is dedicated or specifically created for that particular board. Because if you don't, you're going to get a board that looks like crap, basically, because you have a lot of information or a lot of pins that actually don't belong in that category. So you want to kind of keep your board together. That way the people that are repinning your stuff go to that board and they find information that is particular to that board. So that's what you want to know there. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, where are you getting all these keywords for doing that? I use a separate program for that, and many of you probably already know what it is, but I'll bring it up anyway. But it is Market Samurai. Market Samurai has been a tremendous program for me. It's worked fantastic, and for many years. And the reason why is because it is just a keyword generating product that selects keywords based on what everybody's searching for, and it uses the most current keywords that are around. And the way I do that is I just click on new project, and I'll click on whatever I'm looking for, let's just try apple recipes. And what this does is this is going to generate keywords based on apple recipes, and this is what I really like about this about Market Samurai, is that it just goes right after whatever I'm looking for. And then what I do is I run over here, and then I click generate keywords, and of course this runs off of Google's database for keywords. The problem with Google is that it will not put all the keywords in one place. You have to, you can run through and grab so many keywords and that's it. Well, what Market Samurai does is it will put all of the keywords that are the most targeted keywords in one place so you can use those. So basically, if there's things that are trending on Google, you have your keywords that are on trending products, as well as products that people generally search for every day. So here you are with a list of all the different apple recipes. Now what I do is, I'm going to drill this down even further. Is what I'm going to do is I'm going to export these to a file here. And with that, I'm going to sort those real quick. So I'm going to filter them. And if you don't know how to do all this, don't worry about it. It's easy to learn. And what I'm going to do is I want only apple recipes. So it only has to contain apple. Okay, and then I'm going to copy those guys. And then with that, I can just paste it right in here. Okay, but I'm going to put it in another program here real quick, because all of mine are already done. So when you paste it, every single query or every single keyword is going to say apple in it. Okay, cooking apple recipes, apples with cinnamon, cook apples, cinnamon apple, Christmas apple. I mean, just everything apple, apple, apple. Okay, and in that way, you're ensured that you're going to get recipes that say apple in them. Like this one here doesn't say apple, but I bet you that's the only one because it was at the very top. Okay, so apple, apple, apple. Everything is apple. Okay. And that's what you want. Alright, so enough of that. So anyway, that's how I get my keywords for basically each one of these. And I fill these out. So there's probably around 300 or 400 keywords per. And the reason why you want so many in there is because the information that you have in here will, coincide with the information that you have on your board. So if you have very little information in here, then that means that when your Pinbot is done using all your keywords, it will start over again and use the same keyword. So you may end up having the same pin in each board multiple times, and that's what you do not want. So the more information you put on this side, then you never have to worry about having the same pin 2 or 3 or 4 times within a week, because you don't have enough keywords on your that are mapped to any specific board. So you want to make sure that you have plenty of keywords, plenty of information for Pinbot to work with. That way you are not stuck working against yourself, going back into Pinterest and deleting pins because you have double pins, because it went out and found the same information because you didn't have enough keywords to work with. So that is very, very important. Make sure that you have your keywords mapped to your selected boards and make sure that they are loaded. You have plenty of keywords in there for Pinbot to work with, and that way you never have to worry about it. And of course, the more boards you have, the better off you are, but you want to make sure that if you have a lot of boards, to make sure that your boards are getting pinned to. You do not want to have a bunch of boards and not be able to pin to them. You don't want empty boards, because people will come there and they will look and they will say, oh my gosh, you don't have a lot of information, so I'm not really going to follow this person. So you want to have a lot of information, that way people are going to follow you and not have an issue. So with that, that's how you do that. And remember to save your work. Once you are finished playing around in here and setting your settings the way you want them and you have everything all set up, click save. And once you do that, it saves all your information to your database, so each time you come to Pinbot, you are ready to go. Okay, on to the next video for repinning. Thanks. Bye.